Black male spirituality, back again with another message in the form of a reaction video. As always, I want to shout out all of my high vibrational, high value brothers. Also want to send love to all the lovely high vibrational ladies who may be listening. So for those of you who don't know, Paul Elam is a men's rights advocate. He's actually considered the leader of the men's rights movement, and he's someone I used to watch all the time. And recently, he reposted a video series he did some years back called How to Get Laid. But the part I want to focus on in reacting to this video are the points he makes about the importance of being discerning and selective with respect to the type of women you deal with. So I'm going to title my reaction series, How to Stay Safe. So without further ado, I'm going to share my screen and hopefully share the sound. And we are going to go through this video point by point and react to it.
Hi everyone, Paul Elam here with part 1 of a new series titled How to Get Laid. In my recent hangout on air with Roosh V, an idea he addressed more than once in the discussion was that there was little to nothing in my work that served young men in the area of fulfilling their desire for sex with women. Actually, I have addressed this in some detail in the past. Links to the videos are in the low bar. Still, my contention with Roosh was that woven throughout the larger body of my work.
So I'm going to stop it right there. For those of you who don't know who Roosh V is, he was a big dating coach back in the day, known for the book Bang and Day Bang, and he wrote a lot of different book series. And the points that Mr. Elam's going to make about Roosh V, I think, not only applies to him, but I think applies to a lot of other dating coaches, including those that are affiliated with this space or loosely connected with the Black manosphere. Let's continue.
Is a consistent message that in fact increases sexual opportunities for men of all ages. The major difference is that while Roosh's style is equivalent to driving through a construction zone, ignoring the caution signs and at twice the speed limit, my approach is more cautious, conscious, and credible. What I have not addressed in the past to any great degree is some of the more obvious fundamentals. I'll do so now.
Now, before he gets into that, I think that's a very apt description. I think a lot of times dating coaches and, I think especially brothers in this community, whether they're dating coaches or not, I think that's a very apt description of how they approach dating and getting women. It's like driving through a construction zone, ignoring all the hazard lights, ignoring all the caution signs and all of that, ignoring the open manholes and things like that. And again, here in this dojo, we talk about being discerning, not rushing into every single woman that looks attractive. At any rate, let's let Mr. Elam continue.
Not because I think a lot of young men need to hear this, but because it is obligatory to start from the ground up. Two biggies to get out of the way are personal hygiene and weight. The first, hygiene, is simple. Make sure you're clean and well groomed. Dressing nice doesn't hurt, but I don't suggest looking like you're a GQ reader either.
The funny thing here, and I hate that I keep stopping, but I think it is interesting that he has to explain that basic fundamental, keeping yourself clean and groomed. And again, I think it goes back to how, we as men, and I think, even in our community as Black men, tend to prioritize sex so much that we're not paying attention to other things in our life, even something as basic as being clean and smelling good. If you all remember Kevin Samuels, he started off talking to men about basic things like Mr. Elam does here, making sure you smell good, making sure you're wiping yourself properly, There's so many of us, so many brothers who, especially young brothers, they're so eager to hop into bed or get more success with women. They don't even take care of themselves properly. Anyway, let's continue.
Biggie is weight, but it is a more flexible problem than hygiene. Morbid obesity is a non starter. And besides, if you're morbidly obese, you should probably be talking to a doctor before you attempt sex, possibly even with your hand. However, guys with a moderate amount of extra luggage can do well if they know how to dress. Clothes that fit and flow well around the body work. Man tits trying to bust through a t-shirt and a belt line that looks like a seismic fault circling your body gives you a Pillsbury Doughboy look that doesn't work. Those are the only real basics, guys. Everything else is attitude, personality, and self-perception.
And I would add to that, and Mr. Elam's an atheist. I don't know if he still is. I know last time I checked he was, but from my perspective, another part of it I think is spirituality. I think your spirituality affects your success in terms of relationships and dating, especially if you want to date quality women or if you want a relationship or marriage, that has substance. Mindset, confidence, all of that I think is important. But I do think having a spiritual connection, a spiritual base is important. I also believe in the law of attraction and manifesting, and all of that requires a good spiritual connection. At any rate, we'll let Mr. Elam continue.
Everything else, and I mean everything, is internal. This is where what I have to say about getting laid radically departs from what you will hear from most PUAs. As always, I think in terms of the larger lesson. So my intent here is to not only inform you of how to succeed with women, but how to do so without turning into kind of a lounge lizard ready to pounce on anything with a vagina.
And I think that description right there is a prime example of something that is wrong with a lot of brothers. You kind of just want to chill out and go to clubs, lay around at lounges, and there's nothing wrong with that. I like getting out of the house as well. But, again, if all you live for is just chilling and getting women or jumping on anything that has a vagina, I think that's where you get into problems. Let's continue.
In that light, the first things you need to learn are not about hypergamy, reproductive strategy, tossing negs, passing shit tests, or any other technique-based bullshit. Frankly, all that stuff is self-betraying garbage for weak, insecure men who don't believe in themselves.
I think it's also for men who don't really care about the quality of the women they're dealing with. If you're dealing with crap tests and all these different games, I mean, you really have to think, what are you doing it for? Is just having a hookup that important, or a friend with benefits that important that you would jump through all these low vibrational hoops and games? I personally don't have time for that. I don't know about the rest of y'all who are listening. Let's continue.
So they resort to selling themselves like they were a used car. Let me put it this way. The very first step to success with women is to forget about success with women. I mean that literally.
Now, I won't go as far as to say forget about success with women, but I think where you need to begin is becoming the best version of yourself. Again, shout out to Kevin Samuels, rest in peace. But that's the important thing. Who you are as a man, spiritually, mentally, physically, health wise, fitness wise, socially, in all ways, professionally, academically, if you're still in school. I think that stuff is where you start. I think when you prioritize getting women, that's putting the cart before the horse.
While there may be 1 out of 100 guys who are so naturally gifted as used car salesmen, guys who can fake their way into a brief sexual encounter before she actually looks under the hood, most men are not cut from that fabric. Their efforts to play a player will come across as exactly what they are: needy and weak. If you've been around for any length of time, I'm assuming you know that needy and weak are not components of a chick magnet. They rate right up there with drooling and sticking one finger up your nostril so you can blow snot out of the other. Since the problem here is that you're being advised to fake your way into a woman's bed, let's explore the possibility of getting there without faking. It's as simple as understanding the difference between phony and real indifference. Women, like all other human
Again, I think that whole concept of indifference. I mean, the fact that you have to pretend to be indifferent to get certain women, to me, that's a red flag. A woman who can't accept your interest or you actually giving a damn, that says a lot about that woman. To me, that's a sign of someone who's unhealed at best. At worst, she's a low vibrational, horrible human being. Again, that's not in all cases, but again, the fact that you have to pretend like you don't like someone, I think that says a lot about the mindset of, both men and women when it comes to dating. And there's a lot of reasons for that, but it's an unfortunate fact. Again, brothers, how do we build with this type of straw? How do we have better families, better communities if we can't even show genuine interest to a woman or receive that interest from her? Some guys will try to brush off a woman like they're this big player, so it goes both ways.
beings are attracted to two things. One is strength or power, if you like. The other thing they're attracted to are the things they can't have. Keep this in mind as we go along. Making pussy the sole focus of your existence is the ultimate drain to personal power. So naturally, you need some.
I also think it's very low vibrational. It's a drain to any positive energy because, and again, he said this earlier that, men who try to be like a player or pickup artist type when they're really not that way, I think it not only could signal weakness and neediness, but I think it can also signal low vibrations. And women of quality will see right through that and won't want to deal with you. And what you'll find is you'll be attracting very low vibrational women, drama filled women who will suck your energy spiritually and cause very tangible issues in your life. Let's continue.
Something else to focus on. Something more important to you than a fleeting smile of approval or an ambiguous hint of interest from a woman. You need something at which to excel. Rather than just enjoy music, learn how to play an instrument. Learn how to write or create art. Learn how to build or design. Most importantly, choose something that you love, not something in which you have to fake interest.
I think one of the things I would say, especially to any young men listening, is, again, especially if you're in college or you haven't gone to college yet, I mean, really, that should be your focus. Going to school for a useful degree, let's keep that in mind. For a profession, again, you don't want to put the cart before the horse. Again, if you want to be with a woman of quality, I think it works a lot better if you're in a position where you're moving, at least moving towards stability, if not already having it. And again, I think what he said was right. Obviously, you need to find something useful to focus on and learn. But again, it should be something that you have genuine interest in. And again, like he said, you know, that can be a lot more attractive to a woman. And I don't think it's just because it's something she can't have. You're focused on other things and not giving her attention. But I think that shows that you're doing something with your life other than hollering at women. Like if you're just texting women all day, watching X-rated stuff or trolling, dating sites all day. I mean, what does that say about you? I mean, to me, that says you don't have a job, you're not taking care of other things in your life, you're not working on yourself. Again, you're just trying to, I guess, get as many notches on your belt as you can. And, I mean, to me, if you're happy just doing that, I guess that's fine. But, again, for myself, and I think for a lot of brothers who have substance, who are intelligent, I think, we all really want other things in our life in addition to just women. Certainly, um, something more than just low quality women who just happen to look good. Let's continue.
The more engrossed you become in it, the better. Why? Because excelling at something, anything, is a form of power. Excelling at something you love is self actualization, which is perhaps the ultimate power. You
And again, I think that's spot on. And I would say money is also power. Get your money right, guys.
can't fake your way into that. It is not a trick or a technique. It is a part of your path to more fully realize who you are as a human being. And it happens to attract women. Artists and artisans, creators of all manner, command attention. They elicit respect from men and women alike, especially fans of their particular craft. It doesn't matter if you master the piano, collect stamps, or design video games. Being known for excellence in any circle will put the available women in that circle more at your disposal.
One of the things too there that I would add is that, looking down the path, again, here we promote quality women. So if you pursue a quality woman, I think becoming excellent, being known for excellence is not only good just for, impressing the women, showing her that you are a productive man, a man who could protect, provide, problem solve, the four P's. Shout out to Crimson Cure. But I think if you were to meet that quality woman's parents, because a lot of quality women have good families, they have a mother and a father, not all the time, but that's something that tends to happen. You have to keep in mind you're going to have to sell yourself to that parent and show that parent or parents, mother and father, that you have more substance to you than just liking attractive women like their daughter.
Available sex is gravy, not the meat. Get your head into that, motherfuckers. You are the meat. Treat yourself like it, and so will others. Treat yourself like an empty bowl waiting to be filled if you like, but don't complain about the world seeing you for what you are. The pursuit of pussy is a pathetic substitute for the pursuit of excellence. Your dick can't and won't understand this any more than an empty stomach can see the difference between buying a plate of food versus learning how to grow a regular supply of it. Overcoming that kind of internal drive forces you to rise above base instincts long enough to see the big picture.
And again, I think that's an important point. Again, one of the things, if you want to be a high vibrational man, if you even want to be a high value man, you have to rise above the base instincts. I also like the point he made earlier about, you know, sex is gravy. You are the meat. And I think that's such a powerful concept. And again, I would go even further as like who you are as a spiritual being is the meat of your entire existence. That's where it starts. That's why when you talk about something like Crimson Cure talks about the 10 life values, that's why spirituality is number one. That's the most important thing. And that's where everything else should flow from. But that is the meat, who you are as a spiritual being, who you are as a person, who you are in your mind. That is the meat, not whether a woman approves of you or wants to have sex with you.
Think of this as thinking on behalf of your dick rather than letting your dick think for you. The point here is that you have a choice. You can be an accomplished, self actualized man who naturally commands the attention of women and the respect of men through the pursuit of your own very personal passions, or you can just learn to parrot some gimmicks, acting like someone you're not in order to fool someone into sex with you.
And again, I think at the end of the day, what you're doing is you're playing the role of a low vibrational man. And maybe it's not playing a role for a lot of guys if you really think about it. But again, you're moving in a low vibrational space. You're not using truth to win a woman over. You're using lies, deception, and manipulation. You're not using authenticity to win a woman over. You know, again, I think that's a very interesting way of thinking about it. And again, I've always said that I feel like a lot of dating coaches, their goal is to teach you how to trick low vibrational women into dealing with you. And, I mean, it's pretty sad when you think about it.
Either way you choose with enough effort will probably work, but I do challenge you to ask yourself some questions. If you're put in a position that you have to trust another man with something important, something vital to your life, who would you be more likely to depend on? The man whose ambitions rises above his base instincts, or the man who will say and do most anything to get what he wants?
And again, I think that's also an important point. And what I would think about is, think about a woman you care about, a family member, a sister, your mother. For those of you men who are fathers, your daughter. Who would you trust your daughter with more? The man whose ambitions and whose life rises above base instincts, or a man who will use manipulation and machinations to use your daughter for his own ends, or use your mother for his own ends, or use your sister for his own ends? And again, a lot of us, even with some of our homeboys, we got to think about who's in our circle. If your homeboy is this type of person who lies to women or manipulates, and that's all he really cares about, is that really someone you can trust? And I don't know if it's this video or the next part of this series where he talks about, if that man's a bro, is your bro, then you got a big problem. But we'll save that for later. We'll let the rest of this play out.
Which of these men do you think will get more satisfaction from life? Which one is the man you want to be? Yes, this implies values and why they are such a critically important part of sexual success. That video is next up in my series on how to get laid. Until then, we'll see you next time.
All right, so we'll stop right there. I just wanted to cover that part first, kind of see how people react to this message. But again, I think, that video, it's titled How to Get Laid, but the focus is on the bigger picture. What do you really want for the rest of your life? What kind of people do you actually want around you? What kind of goals do you have for yourself that's not related to whether or not a woman likes you or not? And again, we're social beings, we're meant to, and I think Paul Elam says this a lot, we're meant to pair bond. But there has to be other things that we care about. Certainly other things other than sex that we care about, especially as Black men. Again, of all the risks and the challenges out there, we can't afford just to prioritize sex over everything. Certainly sex with women that we may or may not be able to trust, who may or may not be high vibrational. But anyway, that's it for this part. I look forward to tackling the other two parts real soon. And remember, brothers, low vibrations are at an all-time high in this world. Stay high vibrational. Namaste, and I wish everyone a happy new year.